As you start the summer camp and tournament circuit, do take advantage of the opportunities to meet the college coaches that are at the events that you're playing. Great way to begin this introduction is to introduce your full name, your number, and the team that you compete on. This gives us a chance as coaches to recall anything about you that we saw, so we can be as accurate with our information as we possibly can. Have a list of questions ahead of time prepared so that you can keep this this meeting with the coach as efficient as you possibly can. Do keep in mind that we're coaches that are there. We're there to evaluate and look at other prospects. We definitely want to meet with you, but we need to keep these meetings as short as possible so we can get back to the ultimate goal of seeing as many kids as we possibly can. Some general questions I ask us coaches after the introduction is, what are college coaches looking for in a future recruit? Are they recruiting your position? What are they looking for in a future student athlete? As well as any other specific questions you might have about the academic or the baseball program. After you return from these events, do follow up with the coaches that you're interested in by sending them an email with your academic and your athletic resume that gives us as much detailed information as we need to know about you. Also include a link to your short video. I'd highly suggest you take advantage of YouTube or other video formats so that you can upload that video and, as mentioned, share it with us college coaches. As your summer comes to a close, you'll get a good sense of what schools are interested in you playing for them. This interest is typically shown through mailings, emails, texts, and phone calls. Phone calls are by far the greatest indicator of interest because we college coaches are going to follow up with you to learn more about you to determine if you're going to fit within our team. So after we get all your information, there's going to be one of two things that happen in the recruiting process. One is you'll get an early read on your academic background. The second is going to be a campus visit. During an early read, coaches are going to request your academic transcript, your test scores, and more than likely your senior class schedule. They'll turn that information into the Office of Admission to determine if you're a good academic fit for that school. They'll communicate to the coaches if it's good, bad, positive, negative, green light, red light, and then that will help determine the next step, which again would be the campus visit. These visits vary from school to school. It could be a baseball camp at that institution, it could be a day visit, or it could be an overnight visit. During the camp, typically you're going to have a chance to play in front of the coaches, compete, have a chance to meet those coaches and some players. Day visit is where you're going to go into the campus, have an opportunity to do a campus tour, attend a class, meet with the Office of Admission, and then ultimately have lunch with players or the coaches. And then at the end, I'd highly encourage you to do a meeting with the coach to learn as much about the program as you possibly can. On an overnight visit, this is more an in-depth view of the college itself, and by far the greatest way to learn if the college or university is a good fit for you. On your overnight visit, you'll do the same thing with the campus tour, meet with the Office of Admission, attend a class, have a chance to spend the night with the players, and a meeting with the coaches. The overnight visit is by far the best way to determine if it is a good fit for you as a player, because you have an opportunity to hang out with the guys, and that's really what you want to do to see if you fit within the team culture. Do have questions prepared ahead of time with what you want to learn about each institution, and keep track of this information, because ultimately at the end of the process, when you start applying to schools, you're going to want to be able to compare the information you learn from each individual visit, which is ultimately going to help guide you in terms of what school that you want to go to. During your visit, some other things that you're going to need to consider are your various interests as a student. That could be in clubs and organizations, it could be in studying abroad, it could be summer research, internships. Do ask those questions to determine as much information as you possibly can and find out how that fits within baseball. Some coaches are going to support you doing a summer internships or summer research. So really ask the questions that you need to learn about the institution as you possibly can. After you've made all your campus visits, this is going to help guide you in terms of when you should apply to the institution or what schools you would like to apply to. Highly encourage you to work with the coach to determine which round of application you should follow up on. This is going to help determine how you fit within the program and where the coach sees you fitting in. The various rounds of applications that schools have are: one is early action. Early action is typically done in the fall. It's where you're going to send in your application materials. Within 2 or 3 weeks, the institution will get back to you if you've been admitted or not. The great thing about early action is it's non-binding, but gives you a sense if you've been admitted to that institution, and typically the financial aid is provided through the early action round. The next round to consider is early decision. Early decision is based on many students want to commit to schools early. They can go early decision at a school. This is for students that know that that institution, based on the academics and more than likely baseball, is their #1 choice. Do keep in mind that early decision is binding, which means once you've been admitted to that institution, you're expected to pull your applications at the other schools and ultimately enroll at that school. Early decision, you'll find out if you've been admitted or not. The financial aid packaging will be provided. So it'll give you an opportunity to determine if it's an affordable option for you. There's also regular decision. Each school has various deadlines on when you can and should apply. Regular decision, you're going to send in your transcript, test scores, recommendations. I would highly encourage you to get the best teacher recommendations from academic teachers as you possibly can. You can send in additional recommendations, counselor recommendations, but do make sure that you have a checklist to be able to follow up on the various application materials that are needed by each institution. The common application is the easiest way to apply to many schools, so I'd encourage you to check that out. All you have to do is check off what schools that you're going to apply to. Each school might have a different form that you ultimately are going to have to fill out, but the common application nowadays is the easiest way to apply to a lot of schools. If you apply online, typically schools are going to waive their application fees, so it does save you quite a bit of money on the back end if you're going to plan to apply to quite a few schools through the recruiting process. Two forms that big and small schools use are the FAFSA and the CSS profile. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and the CSS profile allows us to gain additional information on you. Every school takes the FAFSA. You can do that as mentioned online. It's going to give each institution information about your family's finances that it helps us determine need-based aid. Need-based aid is the financial aid packaging that we can put together for each student, which includes grants, work study, and loans. Grants or merit-based aid is money that the institutions provide you that you do not have to pay back. Each school packages the grants differently. I would highly encourage you to do your research at each school's financial aid website to determine the types of grants that they do provide. Do you have to apply for the grants? Are there special grants that you can apply to? Also take advantage of any grants that are available, any scholarships that are available within your community, because ultimately the more grants, scholarships that you're able to gain, it's going to make going to college that much more affordable. Part of your financial aid package is going to be a student loan. Do talk to your parents about how much debt you should consider taking on, because with the affordability of colleges, taking on too much debt can really limit your opportunities once you're graduated from the institution. If you want to go to medical school, law school, professional school, graduate school, that's going to be part of your financial aid packaging. Do keep in mind that after you've graduated, you have up to 6 months to start repaying those loans. But also, a little unknown fact sometimes is that they do start charging you interest on those student loans. So do keep that in mind. Student loans can help make it an affordable option, but just understand how much student loan you're willing to take on. Work study is the last piece of it. It varies from each institution. I believe you can get up to $2,500 of student or work study. That can be done in the athletic department sometimes. It's going to be through the institution. So know ahead of time what your options are with your work study. Ultimately, the goal in the recruiting process is to find an affordable, great academic option for you and your family. It's a place where you're going to spend your next 4 years. Yes, baseball is an extremely important piece to your college decision, but it shouldn't be the only driving decision as you start to apply to schools. In the next round of videos, we're going to talk about your campus visit, how to approach it, what questions to ask, what you should see, what you should take advantage of on your college visits. Have a great summer, you guys. Enjoy summer baseball, and look forward to talking to you soon.